Mamdani won yesterday because the education system failed my generation.
As for Mamdani, I mean, you know, there are a lot of things to say. I won't go on about it, but this is a guy who said in public and then defended his statement that we're going to tax whites more because they're white.
Yeah.
And nobody cared. And it's like, what the hell? Bottom line, without getting all worked up, I will say that's our biggest city. It's 8 million people. Cities are incredibly complex organisms, take centuries to build. My ancestors helped build New York, by the way, but can be destroyed very, very quickly. Look at Johannesburg, 30 years, and it's a husk. It's a joke, and it was a beautiful city. Look at Gary, Indiana, Detroit. Look at almost all of our cities, Baltimore. And that could happen to New York City very soon. In fact, it will. I have a child who lives here. Called me today. I was like, I'm leaving. Not an ideological person. It's just like we know where this is going because it's happened in dozens and dozens. In fact, it's happened to almost every single big city we have. And now it's happening to our biggest city, and it's just the greatest tragedy. And I feel like it doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. It's just like your house. If you allow, as the father, as the patriarch in your family, chaos to break out, and you don't settle it down and set limits and say, I mean, I would say my family, you know, I'm all about no. That's my job. I don't like saying no, but that's my duty. Someone has to be like, no, we're not doing that. We're not, you know, pissing in the street. We're not pushing people in front of subway cars. We're not smart. Like, how about no? And because no one is willing to say that, it just inexorably falls apart. And I think it's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Let's give him a week, okay? I've been critical. Let's give him a week to say just congratulations.
Yes, this is my third video about Mamdani. Talking about taxing white people more, I see this to be ridiculous. Watching Tucker Carlson, reactions to this says a lot. Bill Maher had an interview with O'Reilly today. What he said about Mamdani drew my attention. Even liberals are actually against this guy. That should signal something into you.
I mean, here's a Mamdani quote from his speech. He said, "We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve."
Yeah. Wait till he gets
I can
into
tell
government.
Bill O'Reilly thinks that's ridiculous.
This is so crazy. Look, first of all, he won because he was running against Bela Lugosi, all right? I told Andrew Cuomo, why don't you just campaign with a cape on, turn into a bat? The guy was as dour as possible. Man, that is a good campaigner. I mean, guy was smiling. You know, when he's going to come to your house and take your stuff, he's going to smile. Thank you for the couch. You know, bring it on out. You're disenchanted with the far left wing of the Democratic Party, okay? Because you believe that it's poisoned the well for everybody else, like the congressman.
Yes, I believe you've seen. Tucker Carlson at the beginning of the video actually said something about this guy. And it is frightening to a lot of people. Imagine this guy saying he will tax more white people. That should signal something into you. Be here, on the other hand, said he mentioned on one of his speech there is no problem the government can solve. I went through the comment section of that video to see how people are reacting to Tucker Carlson's opinion. What I realized is that people are going against Tucker Carlson after his take. Do you know why? Because he has been an advocate against what is happening in the Middle East. Now, people wanted to see what Tucker Carlson would say about Mamdani. He's a Muslim, we all know that.
Mamdani won yesterday because the education system failed my generation. 75% of voters under the age of 30 supported Mamdani. And there are essentially two types of people in this group. First, there are the people who actually hate America and want to destroy it. You know, the ones they're chanting globalize the Intifada, want to assassinate everyone who makes more money than them, and think it's a tragedy that the Soviet Union collapsed. Then there's another group of people, probably the majority of people, who see that there are legitimate issues with New York City, but the education system has failed them so miserably that they have no idea how to fix it. Like, yes, New York City is extremely expensive, and government policy is largely what has made it that way. So of course, someone who comes in and says, says, well, everything's just going to be free, sounds great to people who are rightfully concerned about prices but don't know anything about economics or history. But government-controlled rent, grocery stores, and healthcare are not going to make these issues better. Because once the rich people that the Mamdani voters hate so much either leave the city completely or run out of money for the government to take, they're going to first have to deal with lower quality of services and then shortages. And this is all so frustrating for those of us who have either read a book about this stuff or who are even just paying attention to what's happening in, say, our own country in like California, or who are paying attention to other countries that have gone down this path like Venezuela or Cuba. But what's most concerning to me isn't necessarily the economic issues, even though those are going to be an issue. The bigger concern for me is the growing number of people who know what socialism is and know what it leads to, but they want it for America because they hate America and want to destroy it. And the ignorant majority is giving them what they want. Because it's not just the economy that politicians have access to, they also have access to the education system and law enforcement. And with access to these parts of our society, they can intentionally make things worse and then point to things getting worse and say, look, the American project was always doomed to fail. Mamdani is the product of a cycle where people who want America and the West destroyed are creating an environment where they can easily manipulate the ignorant majority into supporting these policies that are going to actively destroy the country. Remember that desperate people are extremely easy to manipulate. People should fear socialism the same way that they fear, and the fact that they don't shows how far the brain rot goes. The only way to beat this is to start by arming people with facts. If we can't turn this around, and turn this around soon, the country will start to look like the Soviet Union, or maybe even something worse.
Yes, someone replied to this lady exactly another propaganda mass exposed. When truth starts rising, the system conveniently blames education failure, not its own decade of corruption, media manipulation, and moral decay. They fear thinkers who question, not followers who obey. Mamdani became a symbol of resistance, and that is what truly scares me. The real failure isn't education, it is the engineering ignorance created by political projects designed to suppress truth and divide humanity. From this comment, you can clearly know where this person is standing. He's in support of Mamdani. So when I saw it, I could not even talk much because people like these, they see things differently. I have been very skeptical, in covering certain topics. But when I saw this, what happened in New York, I became more interested in looking into it. What this guy campaigned on, I'm actually there. I will follow him through to actually see if he's able to do it. There are a lot of things he said. So let's wait. I think I'm going to end here. God bless you. Please share the video. And as of the short clips, that is for the YT algorithm.
Mandare! Dios me libre! Oh my God! This is comunista. This is socialist comunista. Me, I like the other guy. No, Mamdani. Como? Maybe a little bit. No, I like it. Courage.
Are you a Democrat?
Me? No, I'm me a Republican. Because this 4 years so New York is this.
If this should make sense to a lot of Republicans.
Good morning, New York City. Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again. This transition requires staff, research, and an infrastructure that can meet this moment. And it will be made possible by the people who built and believe in this movement.
Mayor of New York City dropped his transition team, and it's all women.
Good. Jasmine Crockett said something like this.
The credit. Well, talking about communication in the form of advice you would give to Mayor-elect Mamdani.
Listen, I don't know that he needs my advice. He has been a master, and frankly, he could do a master class for all Democrats.
Amazing, right?
This has nothing to do with the midterms.
What it taught us is that the Democratic Party is a big tent party. It's an inclusive party. We have a man who is the first Muslim mayor of New York City, who is a very, very important politician. I think he's a very special politician. That.
I mean, these are off-year elections in blue states, and I was expecting Democrats to win. I think a couple things can be true. Number one, it's easy to overread this. These are blue state elections. You had a proposition on the ballot in California that was supported by the Democrats. They run California. New York City is a liberal city. It's easy to overread this. I wouldn't overread it. Virginia, in particular, has never been a great bellwether. I don't think a lot of folks had a lot of confidence in the Virginia campaign.
Talk is cheap. It is now time for actions. Let's wait and observe what he's going to do.
19. And by extension,
it voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, who is not a moderate president.
3 times.
3 times.
Over 40. He beat Hillary by 41 points.
Right.
He beat Joe. He lost to Joe Biden.
But not in West Virginia.
No, he still won by 40 points.
Right. This let me know one thing. This ain't got nothing to do with color. This ain't got nothing to do with color. It's either God's side or Satan's side.
And that was my first instant. Have more Republicans on the show, but they don't want to come on. They're scared of us. It's history.
Point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, he even gets an off.
If the Democrats
because how many times do somebody asks
for?
J.D. Vance should be the next president of the United States. If you want to serve in the American...
Give interviews, I don't do that.
J.D. Vance should be the next president of the United States.
Happening at the moment.
Yeah. President Obama.
Is blatant censorship.
Because he says he has a team of fact checkers.
The FCC want them to stop fooling around with my right to say what I feel.
Well,
Americans, it's a part of who we are.
Because that is really something that didn't happen before.
Does anybody else watch The View? Because I think there's...
I'm going to say one.
Look, there are certain rules of free speech that we must all abide by. But in case anyone needs a refresher, we're going to go over the rules again.
He does not have a right to have a television show.
to spreading lies.
Somebody to get up there, not
all the same people that are in these polite...
Disagree with what Gavin Newsom said that he doesn't...
Dave Chappelle.
Without of interest.
I mentioned last night Trump was bragging about how...
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Peggy D.
Many were surprised to see Darth Renner.
Between now...
60 minutes for editing an interview.